I'm honored here tonight to represent the almost 200 dedicated men and women of the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office. These essential frontline workers answer our emergency calls in the night, respond to our worst fears, and detain those who society deems as a threat. While you were home over the past 2 years, these honorable dispatchers, deputies, and detention officers were loyal to their oath of protect and serve. You heard nothing from them, but you saw them daily, going about the business of the day, answering the calls that no one else will or is capable of answering. Yet they did it and continue to do it, not for reward, but out of dedication to a profession that they believe in. We use dedication and loyalty to often describe our sheriff's deputies, but the other word that comes to mind is essential. Essential is defined as absolutely necessary or extremely important. A definition that we have all come accustomed to over the past 2 years. Who else in Georgetown County is defined by the word essential? Who else is absolutely necessary? Why is that question important? It's important because Georgetown County Council has placed itself in a position to decide who is absolutely necessary to the citizens of this county as it relates to providing public safety services. For those who are in attendance or viewing, my name is Carter Weaver and I'm your sheriff. My primary purpose as your sheriff is to keep you safe. Part of that purpose includes publicly reporting, just like tonight, on the status of my office and the services we provide. Tonight I report to you that law enforcement in Georgetown County is no different than any other industry. From fast food to medical care providers, the diminished workforce is also taking its toll on my office. This fact, along with national, negative, selective press coverage, and fatigue is causing a diminished police hiring pool nationally. I have been in this profession for 36 years, and I have never experienced the level of staff shortages that I've currently seen across the state and at my agency. These shortages are magnifying the fatigue that my officers are feeling. They have a profession that experiences long shifts and challenging interactions with people in trouble or crisis, difficult work environments, and exposure to high stress and occasional life-threatening circumstances. The wellness of our community and my essential deputies are at stake unless county council decides that public safety is the top priority in Georgetown County. I come to you to report on 2 critical areas that need addressing. My existence here to some would be somewhat confusing for those who do not understand how essential law enforcement is funded in Georgetown County. Some would think that since I am elected, then I would have some reoccurring budget that keeps up with growth and other changes. That is not the case. The law enforcement budget is controlled by Georgetown County Council, and any additions to it must be enacted by them. I, as your sheriff, must provide essential services within the parameters that are set, parameters that I'll expand upon shortly. The first area of concern is retention. We talked about some of this at the budget workshop, and I'll repeat it for maybe the more public audience that we have. Your Georgetown County Sheriff's Office right now has experienced a 16% decrease or a lack. We're missing 16% people, a shortage in our enforcement division, a 30% in our 911 dispatch division. 30%. That is an entire shift. Dispatchers are your first line of defense for law enforcement, fire, and EMS. They are the people who answer the phone when you dial 911. 30%. We have a 21.3% shortage in our detention. I'm asking now, and I asked in the 3:30 budget hearing, I'm asking for a 10% pay raise for all Sheriff's Office employees across the board this year. It cost me approximately $137,000 to hire a deputy sheriff. I am constantly being poached by our surrounding agencies because we're one of the few accredited law enforcement agencies in the state. Why would you not want a Georgetown County Sheriff deputy? They're highly trained, they're managed properly, they're educated, they've gone through a rigorous hiring process, and they come from an accredited agency. Why would Horry County not want a Georgetown County Sheriff deputy when we share the same records management system? So all they have to do is change uniforms and get into a different vehicle, and they don't miss a lick in Horry County. I'm not asking to compete with Horry County because we can't compete with their tax revenue. So I don't want that to be a way out or some talking point that confuses the issue. I'm trying to maintain what we have. You can't compete with Horry County, and that's not what I'm saying. Our hiring process, obviously the application process, drug screen, psychological evaluation, polygraph, multiple verbal interviews, Nelson-Denning reading and apprehension test. It's hard to hire people at the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office. And that's why we're a professional agency, because we do everything we can to eliminate the candidate. So you have the proper people protecting you and responding to your homes. So who would not want to poach our agency? And it happens every day to the point where we are now. But again, it replaces it cost me $137,000 to replace that deputy sheriff by the time I hire him or her and equip them properly to answer calls for service. When I lose a deputy, I lose interest and stake in the community. I've heard so much about, well, we started a merit program. Well, the reason I started a merit program was for employees 5 years and more of seniority. So in other words, you got to be with me 5 years before merit starts. You know how many people qualify for our merit program? Out of almost 200, 29. You got to have depth. You got to retain your people. But I can't do that alone. Enforcement, when I hire somebody, they have to go through training. It takes about 1 year between the date of hire and before they graduate the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. And then they go through approximately a 14-week field training officer program. Do the math on that. When I lose one person, that puts me behind the curve that far. In dispatch, training, 12 weeks of training, just to be able to say, how may I help you? And do it appropriately on 911 with the computer and record management and computer-aided dispatch system we have. And then they also have to go to the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy for training just before they can answer that radio for your call. The Department of Corrections, my detention center, same training. They have to have 40 hours of training when they walk in the door before they can even look at be in the same vicinity of an inmate. 40 hours. We can't they're not clerks. We can't put them behind a desk like some other agencies. And then they have to go to the Criminal Justice Academy for Class 2 training. We do exit interviews. I started that when I became sheriff because I thought it was important. Because you know what? Sometimes people can be bad managers. The number one cause of people leaving the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office is pay. It's pay and the unavailability of affordable housing. My deputies have nowhere to live. That's why they live in Horry County. That's why it's very easy for them to be poached by an Horry County. They don't have to change where they go to church. They don't have to change their favorite restaurant. They don't even have to take their kids out of school. All they got to do is take a left out of the driveway instead of a right out of the driveway to go to work. It's that easy to lose them when I'm not competitive. The other reason is the state of law enforcement in this country. And when I say the state of law enforcement agencies are professional. It's the bad apples and the negative press which causes the bad state of law enforcement. My fear is, and I work with counsel well, and obviously I have never come before you like this, so it is critical. I don't do it to oppose you. I don't do it to draw lines in the sand with you. But my fear is that some would think I am elected so I can sink or swim. But I tell every one of you, we took over Central Dispatch when it was in shambles, when the county ran it. Look at it today. Even though we are 30% short, it is manned by highly trained individuals who have customer service in their heart. We also took over the Georgetown County Detention Center when it was in shambles. Look at the professional men and women that are out there in their performances daily. And I can't help but think that maybe it's time for county government to once again have ownership or skin in the game by me giving back these functions. So you can experience firsthand what we are facing. Maybe then true change will occur in the retention of valuable employees. But that's a topic for a later discussion. I am requesting that you act and ensure that essential employees, those sworn to protect and serve, all compensated justly and retained to meet the expectations of our citizens. As far as retention, let me go over a few of the local agencies and what they're doing. We touched on some of this in the council meeting, but I think it's important, or in the budget workshop, but I think it's important to repeat it. Horry County Police looking at doing a 5% raise, no tax increase, using additional revenue from growth in their tax base. Again, that's what's projected. I don't work for county councils and other agencies, but that's what their plan is today. Myrtle Beach Police Department, raising their starting salary to $60,000. Horry County's starting salary is already $42,000. Mine's at $40,000. They raised $5,000. I'm already under the curve anyway, so I'm even further. Myrtle Beach raising theirs to $60,000. North Myrtle Beach raises up to 4.5%. Surfside Police Department, 3% cost of living. Georgetown City Police Department, projected 8% raise. South Carolina Highway Patrol raised their starting salary to $48,000. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division raising theirs to $50,000. And the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources raising theirs to $46,500. I gotta compete, folks. My other point of concern is additional sworn personnel. I can't stand here as your sheriff. I would not be responsible to the citizens if I had to pick one or the other. So I'm reporting on both. We have additional sworn personnel needs. Each of you have been given on multiple times the analysis of the impact that growth has had on the Sheriff's Office operations. You have also been given yearly annual reports that show continued increases in the demands placed on my office. As a reminder, there have been no allocated slots funded by County Council for the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office Patrol Division since 2005. That's 17 years ago. Any additional personnel has been through our efforts in obtaining grants or through ATAX. You have allocated 2 positions for the security of this building, though, but not for the citizens in the street since 2005. Annual reports show that the increased calls for service and census shows that the population, as we talked earlier, especially on the beach side, has grown by 19.8% since the last census. All I ask you to do is cross the bridge and drive to Merle's Inlet. If you're having traffic problems getting there, so are we. That's another need for additional personnel. If you take a walk on the Marsh Walk and it takes you 20 to 25 minutes to walk from one end to the other because of the people, it takes us that long as well. There's people on the neck, folks. And they need to not only be safe, they need to feel safe. The increase in the population and their constant occupation is a 12-month period. I think we all know that. We don't have a lull anymore. We have about 2 weeks in January where there's a lull. The rest of the time on the Waccamaw Neck, it's a 12-month ordeal. Mental health services have increased exponentially since the last allocation of personnel in 2005. Transport to approved facilities outside of my jurisdiction run into the thousands. Where did I get the deputies from to create a transport division? I got them from our patrol division. Illegal narcotics and the deaths they cause have been constantly on the rise since 2005. A narcotics unit was created. Where did I get those deputies from? I got them from our patrol division, because we've had no allocated personnel since 2005. Magistrates court security. I think by law they're able to hire constables, but your sheriff provides security at all magistrate court functions. Imagine how many of those we have a day. Where do those deputies come from? They come from your patrol division. Andrews, PD, and the problems that they've had yearly. My phone rings, your phone rings. I don't mix words with you. What do I say? We're on the way. And we send staff. Where do you think they come from? The patrol division. Pawleys Island. Their city council can just, with the stroke of a pen, do away with their police department, and the sheriff's going to take it over. He's going to take care of it all. Where do those people come from? The patrol division. Do you see a trend here? My patrol division needs additional personnel that can only be added by county council. I want to leave you with this thought, this one thought. The increase in population has led to the need of an additional county council district. And that county council district is needed because these people need some governance. Well, if we're in need of an additional county council district for governance, do you not think we're in need of additional personnel for protection? Thank you for your time.